And if you're sentenced, the sentencing Tory, it doesn't get flipped around. It's a federal crime with the things that they're doing to interfere. So, if you're sentenced federally, mandatory sentencing guidelines. So there's no out early for good behavior like that. So all the people involved in this have to really think about what's going on. And then if they're not U.S. citizens and there's questions about how they got here, then once they get picked up in this way, they cannot come back into the country. They are barred for life is the way it's going to be. So they have to really think about if they want to play this game or not. And
well, they're calling it now the National Police Force, the domestic military. Are we going to see these guys on the streets? I see them all over El Paso right now. I was driving up in Sunland Park with my dad, Sunland Park, New Mexico, and I saw them on foot, almost like troops walking around, and that kind of threw me off. But is it going to get to the point that we're going to see like a police state to where there's checkpoints and things of that nature everywhere, like checking your real ID? I mean, are we looking at a police state coming here?
Well, look, if it has to go to that level for a period of time, it will be temporary. It won't be long term. It'll be spotty. You don't have enough ICE agents or police or military to cover every square foot. It's going to be zones, and they will be for a period of time while they, target certain areas and then move on. And so, and as it stands, those mayors, those people that are protecting certain groups, there'll be the places that actually will attract more surveillance and enforcement. So they're not actually helping these people. They're creating a zone where they're
It's the objection here. The object here is to get them to self-deport.
Well, we're ramping up, so that they understand what's going on, and that they will think again about just leaving and have the opportunity to come back and not put us through all that trouble. But if they're going to force us to go to all that trouble, then they're probably going to stay gone for the rest of their lives. So don't make us have to go to this much trouble. In fact, the ones that self-deport, go through the process and get to come back, and the people we want to have around, because we've been allowed to screen them. We're not, we're going to continue to take in immigrants, but they have to come through the front door. They can't sneak in. And it's better for them.
So Trump is not against a certain color of people, creed, nothing like that. It's about if you're legal or not, if you're legal or illegal. That's it. That's the bottom line. That's all it is.
Yeah. Well, think about it. Those people that are here illegally, they got to look over their shoulder the whole time, and they're also vulnerable to all kinds of abuse by the people that may help them get here, know that they're here illegally. So they're looking over their shoulder the whole time. We want them to be here on the straight and narrow and, be Americans. And most of them do want to do that. We're going to, besides the sending people out of the country, we're going to have the largest immigration surge in U.S. history, but it's a few years down the road. And, we'll bring the people that are leaving right now, they get to start signing in, looking for dates, and get to the front of the list to come back. The ones that are dawdling and hiding under the bed and trying to be sneaky, they'll probably get picked up, and that'll be it for them. It's just the way it is. So, they have to make a decision. Am I going to try to work with the system or against it?
Juanito, so we are going to have a quote-unquote police state for a while, for a year until Trump's out of office? I mean, this could take a decade to clean up, couldn't it?
Well, I don't like to use those terms. That's like a hot button way of saying it. So those people that want to have drama and how horrible and just amp it up for the kind of bullshit. Um, we're going to clean things out, and we're going to go to the hot spots where most of them are, get the low hanging fruit, and work out from there. And the people that are smart will work towards self-supporting, and then if they want to come back, which most of them do, they will begin the process of coming in through the front door. And the first people out will be the first people back in if they want to come back for them, their kids, their family, and it'll be slow at first because all of our assets and tools are aimed at, getting everybody out. But as things settle down, then we will also be bringing in larger surge. Look, as the economy picks up at the far end of what Trump is doing, and it's going to pick up, it's going to be the greatest economy in the history of America and most of the world. We're going to need and want those employees at all different levels to be able to work across America. So it's not a one-sided thing, but everybody has to go out so we can get nice, clean understanding, slow everything down for the moment, make sure we got everybody out that's not supposed to be here, and then we can open it up hard. There'll be some early stuff. I mean, the people first out are going to get advantage of a system that's not overloaded necessarily. When the big surge comes a little bit later, it's going to be loaded to the gills. So we're going to have to amp up those services, and that'll be the tail end of this administration. Because we're going to have such a red-hot economy and such a solid currency when we go back to constitutional money that everybody in the world is going to want to be here, and we're going to want those people to be able to work with us to get things done. So it's.
Are we going to be able to have these people take jobs that will coexist with AI? I mean, isn't AI getting ready to take over all the low to middle jobs?
No.
Okay.
Look. The reality is there is a lot of jobs that AI could do. And let me just use this as an example. When we got the first digital recording systems for documents and paper and everything, I had an interest in a paper company, and I remember the board meeting where a number of the people were complaining that because of what was happening, paper was history, and it was a waste of time having money in the paper company, and they were pulling out their family wealth, if you will, and going other places and warning everybody else they should do the same, and they wanted to just toss these facilities and take a loss on the facilities for a tax position. In this one particular case, and I talked with the head of the union and the head of the factory floor. This is a huge operation. And the number that they were able to get this at was so low that it just, as I talked with them, I said, it's going to take years for this to actually build out. And I think you might do better than ever. Especially because the employees would own a share, and in this town, they needed to, the jobs were critical, and you could have killed this town, killed it deader than a doornail. And so the employees took a part of the deal, took shares for part of their pay. Union worked with them. The supervisors went in there, and I think there was just two of the original big shareholders, big ones, that stuck around. and I was tiny, but I stayed in there because there was a reason why I was in there in the first place. And that company did fantastic. They sold more paper in the next many years because what they found out was that with the storage of data digitally and the way that that happened, the demand for paper went up. It didn't go down. If you have greater efficiency with the AIs, then it means there's more money left for other things. You become more efficient as a group and a company, and there's more jobs, not less. There's going to be a continued growth in those industries that become more efficient. Even if you have AI and bots, there's a lot of supervision, coordination, human activity that goes with it, whether you like it or not. And there was another location with a factory that was dealing with aircraft stuff and the warehousing, all that. Okay, that plant was amazing to go pick up parts and move on. It only took like 35 people with the robots and the AI and everything else to handle this huge storage facility that was like, 10 football fields. But the other side of the coin is the company had more money for research and development, and so they pushed other departments, and they didn't fire any employees. They retrained a number of them for other positions, and they had the luxury to do that. They didn't want to let good people go. So I think it's a bit of a red herring on that. I think the world becomes, yes, it changes. Some of the jobs might change. I doubt very many AIs are going to be rustling cows off of horses. And, you have AIs that monitor, the feed, the temperature, densities, all sorts of things, whether you're growing plants or growing cows. It just allows you to be more cost effective and keep people. Otherwise, you might lose them. It would go to India or someplace else. And we're going to keep that stuff here and do better with it. So I'm not down. I'm extremely bullish on where America's going from this point forward.
So, Juanito, it says here that a judge has blocked. Here we go again with these judges, man. Birthright citizenship. How do these? I want to know, how do these judges? I thought that was going to quell down a bit. I thought that was going to be neutralized a bit, but it looks like it's still going pretty heavy.
Well,
a lot of judges are still blocking. Go ahead.
If they're neutralizing citizenship where you have anchor babies. Let me use the example over in Guam right now. You have companies out of China that bring women to Guam when they're 8 months pregnant or sooner out of China, and then they have the baby there. The baby now is in a protectorate of the U.S. Guam, and so they have a U.S. citizen status. And that's become a major threat to not just Guam, but to the country, including with voting and things like that. And so, with the long-range perspective from a Chinese, political side, they're creating an army of U.S. citizens that have all the rights of U.S. citizens by birth, and yet they're going to be raised in China, and they're going to think like the communist Chinese, and then turn them loose into our university system, our country. And that's been going on for quite a while. We're already seeing the effects of that. That's been going on for a long time.
Well, Juan, my mind goes to this, and I don't think people can blame me for thinking of this. You know, if you talk to like someone like David Icke or Hegelian uh, dialect or whatever the equation is, problem, reaction, solution, I think of, you know, Biden was the problem. The immigrants come in, they got the desired reaction from the Patriots, the Americans. Now here comes the solution, which is a domestic military, also known as police state. Is that, I mean, do you blame me for thinking of that? I mean, obviously, a lot of my audience is probably thinking that we're like, wait a minute here. This looks like a police state that's getting ready to be birthed here with a domestic military, checkpoints, all in the name of our safety, getting the criminals off the road. Now, I don't mind this to be quite honest with you, because I'm not a criminal, so I have nothing to worry about. But it is kind of a, I guess you could say, an impediment, an impeachment on our privacy. I mean, on our rights. What about Americans that get stopped or pulled over and ask for their documentation? I mean, that's kind of, am I right in saying that? And they'll say, well, it's all because of the immigrants that were here. Sorry. I mean, it just seems like it's the correct, has all the right ingredients for this problem, reaction, solution, and this police state that I feel like could be happening. And do you blame me? I mean, a lot of people think this. They're kind of worried about it.
Well, vigilance is the price of liberty. And so, yeah, we have to be vigilant on this. But, you know, a crime where the bad guys are on foot getting away, or the car, or whatever, and the police come in and they close off streets, they turn the dogs loose, and they go in to find the bad guy. Is that a violation of everybody else's rights based on, you know, them running around and trying to stop this person, catch them? I'd rather have them in there doing that. They have all sorts of legal rights in that kind of a situation to control a certain zone while they go find the bad guy. And it's for public safety. In case you haven't noticed, while not every person here that didn't come in legally is, you know, some horror, they still, there's a number of them that are, that we have to get. So you have a crime scene, and that we have to go through certain processes to find them is legitimate, lawful, defensible, public safety is in the balance. And so, yeah, let's go do it from a public safety standpoint. Then we'll come up with what needs to be done to protect our safety. If it becomes longer than is appropriate, then, you know, we complain and make a big deal as citizens. But a reasonable period of public safety within an area is absolutely, you're not going to win that case in court. You're just not.
I just, you know, I think to myself, you know, I'm not worried about the cleanup, Juanito. I'm wondering, do we also need to have our chess pieces in place with this big, beautiful bill, Palantir, the whole thing, in order for not only the mass deportations, but arrests?
Well, again, why you got a lot of people in this audience that are fussing and complaining because things aren't happening fast enough. The reality is, you are having to challenge a lot of people that are in the system. Are they actually doing stuff on behalf of American people, or is it a little club and a clique? And it's a number of very important positions, and down, down through the ranks. And so, and even up to Trump getting the bill signed, now the money begins to flow and starts to get released these various places. Trump is still not got the workforce within the federal agencies that he's trying to put together. I would say at a bare ass minimum, you're talking 3 months to 6 months till that finally gets more fully in place. And along the way, they're going to bring on new aspects. Click, 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 and you'll see it gaining momentum. Trump, did the executive orders, the executive findings, executive actions at a very rapid pace early on, which has allowed that things got rolling. But that doesn't mean that they're done or that the people are actually there. And, because we're on the main line, I won't say other stuff, but there's things that are clicking right along very quickly. And, that's part of the frustration for President Trump. If you look at what he's accomplished thus far and how he's put the globalistas on their heels, and they're not getting away with some stuff that they really wanted to get away with. That's a big deal. I mean, we're making amazing progress. We just are. It's stunning. So, a big shout out to President Trump for what an amazing job he's done thus far. Take a breath.
No, I just want to. I want to ask you about this cell phone surveillance detected at an anti-ICE protest where I think it was called Project Stingray. Mobile network anomalies consistent with with cell phone surveillance were detected at the July 4th protest at an Immigration and Customs Enforcement field office in Washington State. These anomalies, according to an independent analysis by Straight Arrow News, suggest that a device known as IMSI catcher may have been used to collect identifying information on the cell phones in the protest site. ICE did not respond to the request for comment on this situation. It is not clear whether ICE or any other law enforcement agency obtained a warrant to use IMSI catcher, commonly referred to as Stingray, to conduct this surveillance. I mean, that's kind of impinging on our rights.
Well, okay, let's.
I'm just watching the pendulum goes really far left. I don't want it to go so far right. We're losing all our rights here in the name of safety.
Okay, so let's think about, the name of the news agency straightforward. Really? Are they, ultimately centered within a Patriot side, or are they more centered in a protect the people operating, let's say, unconstitutionally for real? Now, they're claiming that the use of the stingrays is somehow a violation, unconstitutional. If it was targeting individuals, they probably would have to have a warrant. If it's done within a more generic sense to tie to other locations, remember, we have a lot of the leaders of, for example, let's say BLM or something or similar. We know exactly who they are, what their involvement is over many years, and they've been being tracked. Many of them actually already have indictments that have been handed down by grand juries.
So has a lot of these bad players, these bad actors, been scooped up already, Juanito?
Well, a lot of them
organizers of these of any kind of go ahead.
Well, a lot of them haven't been scooped up, and the reason is because you had people interpreting, for example, civil rights over the Justice Department differently than what Trump is going to have the people looking at. And very, if you will, leftist kind of a perspective. From a conservative perspective, the Civil Rights Division was not actually doing what it constitutionally should do. Now, certainly that's arguable, and people are going to argue it, but Trump got elected for a reason. The people of the country want things enforced differently and see the world differently. You know, at some level, it's like I had to deal with somebody, I don't know, 3-4 months ago, and this was, you know, one of those things where they sound reasonable and rational right up to a certain point, and lives are on the line. And the other people were kind of, you know, just going along frustrated, whatever. And I said, wait a minute. Stop the crazy. Okay, just no more crazy. I don't need the crazy talk. Lives are on the line, and we're not going that route. So we need to get real, and we figure out how to stop killing, or, you know, we're going to go at this a different way. But we're not going to just play this game and have people dying while people are playing the game. Now, something similar happened with Zelensky and with Putin. Trump said, okay, I want a ceasefire, and then let's figure out how we can do this, and America will help, and we'll dive in and help with getting infrastructure built, but you're going to pay us back. And we'll try to stop this. You know, stop the crazy. Stop killing. Stop using this as an excuse to be killing each other. How are you going to work out a peace deal while you're both killing 1,000 people a week on the other side? And making people even more distraught and upset and create blood feuds for the next 100 years. Just stop it. Stop the crazy. It's the same thing here within our government. There's been some kind of crazy that has been allowed to get to a point where that's why the American citizens stood up and elected Trump. They don't want what was being stuffed down their throat by people that it just isn't making sense. So that we, you know, are calling it for what it is, and Trump, you know, offered all those people, go away, you know, go get another job, but you're not going to have a place at the Justice Department. You're not going to have a place at a lot of these other agencies. They did just that. They left. Now getting other people into place that will enforce the law constitutionally in a more classic sense. That's what Trump's doing.
All right, Juanito, before I get to the next question about Epstein and Iran, folks, get your collagen, baby. Oh, yeah, the science is in. A clinical trial found that just 10 grams of collagen a day for 8 weeks led to a roughly 20% increase in skin hydration and a 17, there's that number, Juanito, 17% improvement in elasticity, while also visible reducing wrinkle depth. If you want to help improve your skin health, it's clear that collagen is the essential. This is why I use this secret magical powder, and I'm obsessed with the results, folks. Multi-collagen provides my skin with 5 types of premium collagen to help attack wrinkles from every angle. I'm seeing a smoother skin, more elasticity, fewer fine lines, and a more youthful glow, folks. Plus, multi-collagen mixes smoothly with my morning coffee or tea. There's no clumping and zero added flavor. Do yourself a big favor and grab yourself a bag of ageless multi-collagen now for 51% off only at Health with Nino. Plus, by ordering today, you'll also receive free VIP life, health, and fitness coaching for life, a free ebook titled The 14 Foods for Amazing Skin, and a 60-day satisfaction guarantee, and free shipping with your order. Yeah! Alright, folks, get on it. Get some collagen. I try to make these commercials as entertaining as possible.
Well, I will tell you, you know, with the collagen, I really had an amazing result with it, with the, you know, because I have a couple of injuries with where the short, the small muscles and the Patriot muscles were in the college, and what was commended by one of the big sports that is a trainer for one of the very big quarterbacks, now retired, and a great friend. And it was amazing how I had fought this for years and then used the collagen within about 3 months, man. It was just stunning. I mean,
well, it's amazing stuff. It's amazing.
It
stuff.
really was, yeah.
So, let's talk about Iran for a second. Now they're sending out threats. Trump could face drone attack at Mar-a-Lago. You wanna talk about that for a second, and then we'll go to Nino's Corner.tv and talk about the Epstein list and the victims and why we think that maybe it could be used for leverage or come out at a different time. Why Russiagate's popping now? But let's talk about Iran right now. They're saying that they didn't get all the uranium, and there's some left over, and now they're saying it looks like Iran is back in the spotlight with threats.
Well, again, part of the reason that the U.S. needed to step in, who was going to get credit for having destroyed this nuclear threat to the world? There's a bunch of people, Trump's doing Putin's bidding, blah, blah, blah. That's really not true. I get it, but the reality is, no, we had the capability, we had the only armament on the planet that's currently in play that was capable of taking out those nuclear manufacturing sites, and we did. And we didn't save Israel, we saved the whole world. Because if Iran has people able to threaten with drones at Mar-a-Lago and one of those drones and made it in there. And by the way, I had very important meetings over the weekend. And one of the subjects that we were discussing is the missing nukes, which have been very, very, very heavily documented and with high-up officials inside of Russia working with us that are missing out of the Russian nuclear arsenal going back quite some time. And there's a variety of them. And part of the reason that's so important for everybody here to understand, some of them from many years ago were reported from within the Russian system to have gotten to Iran. Some are bigger than others, was Kurlov, the general who was killed in the scooter attack. Kurlov was one of the most trusted people. And over the weekend, I spent time with the person that Putin personally asked to come to Russia and try to bring a deal back to America to help secure their nuclear armament and some of these weapons. With an impeccable reputation, nobody is shooting him down on where he's at, what he's done. And but on the U.S. side, it was rejected. And this effort was rejected. And it's very disturbing that our policing and military agencies and the politicians at play at the time did not want anything to do with this effort. It's perplexing. So at the end of the day, Iran may very well have some other nuclear devices that came out of the Soviet Union, and some of the materials that they were working on could be used to freshen those up and make them more functional right now. This is important because when we destroyed those sites, America stopped Iran from being able to put those in the Congo, somewhere in South America through Venezuela, into Cuba, to a dozen places, Yemen, uh, uh, and other places around the world that they might have been able to fire the missile. And some of these devices are quite small and pretty easy to conceal and to move them in. It is a sum of all fears type of a situation. So America stepping forward and dealing with that threat, the whole world can breathe a little bit of a sigh of relief because Iran was threatening not just Israel, but the whole world. The whole world. The whole world.
And now we've neutralized that threat.
And we haven't neutralized it. We've pared it back radically. And if you remember, before the election, and I told your audience, I think before anybody else said it publicly.
We're doing so good.
Okay. What all those drones were for in the, 6 months before the election that were all over the country and what they were really doing. So, and it relates to this. So, deep breaths. We're not done with Iran, and Iran's not done with us. But we've reduced the threat. What, we were supposed to live under this perpetual threat forever? What brainiac thinks it's smart for us to just not challenge Iran?
Juanito, you're breaking up pretty bad. Let's just go to the back channel from here, Juanito, to ninoscorner.tv and discuss. Juan, you're breaking up real bad. Can you hear me? All right, folks.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, I apologize.
All in, right, Juanito? So go ahead.
Well, I tell you all the time, I talk to you privately about this. There's a turd in the punch bowl. Why aren't this party started? Why aren't we doing this and that? How come we haven't started the restaurant? Well, there was a turd in the punch bowl, and this is this former Democrat who changed last summer from being a Democrat to a Republican. He represented Trump on one of the cases, and so Trump brought him into Justice Department. He's essentially the number 2 under Bondi. And everywhere we turn where we're not, for example, we have whistleblowers, critical whistleblowers who have critical information that needs to be acted upon. And this guy's blocking them from getting their information into a actionable position. Okay, because if you have a whistleblower, there's certain protections that have to be put in place, agreements, proffers, etc. If they, provide evidence where they may even be implicated in the crime, you got to, make sure that anything they give, they're protected so they can give you all the information. There's all sorts of things. Even like Tina. Okay, there was a certain agreement that was in place to have Tina free on her birthday, and then agreements immediately thereafter, all of them blocked, and here's the turd. And I will say this, Bondi is in charge, so the buck stops there. If you got a guy that's not doing what he should be doing, you got to rein him in. He's your number 2. Okay, using him.
Not reining him in though.
That's part of the whole point. That's why I'm talking right now to your people, Nino. Now, I didn't want to say anything because I had knowledge, but in the course of conversations where I have people that are in the right position and dealing in these areas, I was aware of the problems, yet people were working the deal behind the scenes to try and sort this out. And are they legitimate objections that he has to certain things? It's just a repeating theme. anything that Trump wants to do, he wants to do the opposite, and so he's blocking these things. In order for President Trump to move forward in his presidency, to accomplish all the things as he said he wants to accomplish, you have to have some cooperation from these agencies. If I can't even get whistleblowers through and get action on them, and investigations funded, started, acted upon, where there's huge national security risks, if you can't get somebody there just to cooperate on it and sign off on it, the guys that are under him, their hands are tied. And I can tell you, in Justice Department right now, there's a lot of frustrated people that have done amazing work, and yet here they sit. Time is, going by, and we're in the thick of it. So something is going to break over at Department of Justice, and there's going to be some kind of a change. And I told you back, why do you? Well, let me just say this. And why does a person like this even get into the office? Here's the problem. When Trump first came into office, he submits people that he wants to hold certain positions, and then Congress agrees to it, and they come in. If you don't get congressional agreement, you can't get them into your appointments, and there they sit. Of course, Congress was really blocking President Trump on a number of things. So he had to kind of work the deal. I have questions. I'll just be frank with everybody out here. There was a tie to Pam Bondi with the Bushes, back to Jeb Bush and her work in Florida. The Bushes hate Trump. And the question is there a legacy of the people around Bondi who she's, got the relationships with, and she's trying not to mess those up. One of the ones that's most disturbing to me personally is that she was pushing, along with Grinnell, this deal down with Venezuela for Chevron to come in and do an oil deal in Venezuela 4 or 5, 6 months ago. And that was completely insane, asinine, off the charts. No possible way should this ever be done, because we're getting prepared to go after Maduro. We have a $50 million bounty on his head right now because he got into his position through, he's running the biggest drug cartel on the planet, gang, election cartel. That's a big deal. It's not a minor thing. And so that's what we said in the stuff that's in the public record. With that in mind, Pam is pushing an oil deal with Chevron with them down there. That didn't make sense. That's a Rockefeller operation. So you gotta wonder about that. Should President Trump take some kind of an action? We always felt that Bondi was an interim person and would probably change over time. Well, now we're getting ready to go to war on several levels, and it may be appropriate to, at the president's will, pull these people out and put somebody else in. Whether we pull Bondi out or not, I don't know. But Todd is certainly not helping things, and so they serve at the pleasure of the president. The president is not being served in his agendas, so he probably needs to act so that his intentions can be moved forward on lots of levels. There's a lot of people dammed up from being able to do what they believe is their job inside justice, and a lot of people who want to bring information very, very frustrating that a lot of people, and we'll just have to see what happens.
You broke up a lot right there, Juan.
I know there's a lot of people around the president that have brought this to him, and I think he's at a point of decision. He'll have to make some kind of a decision, probably sooner than later.
We're coming into a government shutdown. How does that play into all of this?
Well, there's things that the president can do during a government shutdown that might not be available to him elsewise. And of course, middle of the month, the Senate will be out of session. He could do a recess appointment if he wanted to, and nobody gets to vote. He just gets it for some temporary period that allows them to get through this next phase and then have it readdressed later. And then he's also done the nuclear option where he's not going to wait for 60% or 60 votes out of the Senate. He'll do it with a mere majority. And he already did that on numerous appointments. So where he was kind of hamstrung, who can I put up for an appointment that I can get past the Senate? And you had some politically acceptable people to the rhinos, even the Republican Party. Now he doesn't have to do that, and so he can come in and get who he actually needs at this point, and push that. And we got a couple people that are already in justice that would be great choices, but we'll see.
This is the exception to ousting Bondi. This is the way he would have to get rid of Pam Bondi, is through this method, what you just said right now.
Well, he can get rid of her anytime he wants. She serves at the pleasure of the
Why is he holding on to her if there's so many things that she's doing, holding up the process?
Because Trump is like Reagan. He tends to be pretty loyal to all of the people around him. He tries to work the problem, not just be, frivolous or, whatever. It may sound like that, but he really isn't. If you get into all of the things he has going on, he's pretty loyal, trying to work with people that, are his people. But there's certain moments where you have to, okay, done. Now we're on with the next thing, and we're at that kind of a critical moment. Remember, he's got all of the generals here in town. He's getting ready for one hell of an October. And if you have people in those positions that are not doing their job, he said, did the public thing last week. Do your job, Pam Bondi. And they finally went ahead, got the indictment on Comey, agreed to have him arrested. He gets the velvet glove treatment. Shoot, they're going to send a limo to go pick him up to bring him in to, be booked. The limo was a troop carrier with the Navarro and Roger Stone and people like that. Give me a break. And you're treating them with kid gloves here. That's inappropriate as far as I'm concerned. Good for the goose, good for the gander. Don't show favoritism in the way you handle these types of things. They should have gone over there and arrested Comey and taken him into custody and brought him down and booked him. And get out on bail, and get out on personal cognizance, which is what they'll do. But that's not the way they treated the people around Trump back during the Biden administration, or fixers. People feel a bit burned. So, and a lot of the thing for the people with immunity, this is a guy that didn't want anybody to get money paid to them for the horrors that were done to them during their incarceration, arrest in the jail. This is the guy didn't want that to happen. At this point, Todd Blanche, you probably can count his lifespan at Justice Department in days, not weeks. It'd be my guess, maybe just hours, and that would be appropriate. And then the question is, where's Pam at on this? Is she going to Is she going to direct it? Is she going to fire him? Is she going to do it, or does the president have to step in and clear the decks and get the next group in?
I just pulled up I researched what President Donald Trump said on Truth Social, and it said here September 2025, President Donald Trump used Truth Social to question Attorney General Pam Bondi's commitment to prosecuting his political rivals, stating that inaction was killing our reputation and credibility. His post created a public rift with his Attorney General and led to the indictment of former FBI Director James Comey. Wow. Okay. So
well, and remember, they weren't even gonna do the indictment before the 5 years was up on his lies to Congress. They were gonna let that pass, and if Trump hadn't have made a big stink about it, wouldn't have happened. So, we've got some problems over there that need to be addressed, because justice is what we seek. And again, if you can't get to justice at the Justice Department, the next option is non-Article 3 courts, because now you're not going through the normal justice process. If you can't get those people to do what they're supposed to do, then you have to go to the military side. And,
isn't that where we need to go anyway?
A lot of it will go there anyway, because it's the only proper court. But even getting things started, there's a lot of things, just like the whistleblowers. Those whistleblowers not being able to get through the process to be cleared, to get their proffers in place, etc., whistleblower protection for government employees, etc. You got to have that. Without that, nothing moves forward. And they're there in a line. They're waiting. They're praying. Please get us on deck, because they want to help Trump. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how this breaks. And the reason I just wanted to say something to your listeners and to you right now, Nino, and that's why I said, this is all going to happen very, very quickly. Tomorrow, this may get run over within the media stuff because of all the attention to the general staff and flag officers being there, present in Virginia, the president speaking to them, some of the wilder parts of that may or may not be made public. And, there's very serious concerns about leaks, not just within, military and intelligence circles, but to other countries, other governments. And so these guys are going to be reminded of their, responsibilities to the American people, to the Constitution, to their oaths, to the President of the United States, and not to other countries or people, etc. And so, it's a pretty important thing. And so this story here, which is so crucial at so many levels, could get sidetracked, and people are, not even looking, not even paying attention. Well, I don't think that's right. This is a serious threat to President Trump's ability to see all the things that he needs to get done during his short time in office now completed. We have 3.5 years less than that. My gosh, the clock is ticking. So anyway, we'll get there. We'll be okay. But I think this is some of the checkpoints we have to go through. Now that we've established, we got somebody in there. They were sort of interim. We couldn't do what we wanted because of the problems over at Congress and getting somebody through. Well, we're a little further on now. The nuclear option's been pulled, just a simple majority. And, by the way, there is serious shit happening in the Mideast right now. And aircraft moving from here to support that. Questions about things going on up in Central Europe with Ukraine. And whenever you see that stuff happen, remember to look the opposite direction because it's a magic act. What's happening over with China and Asia, the Philippines and other places? When things are happening in one spot, it allows the magician to do stuff in the other places. And we're in a global war with globalista that are trying to stop President Trump and America from accomplishing their purposes. So, and look at what's happening with silver, for example. It's threatening going through 47, next stop 50, just like I told your audience, and in a very short order. I've been personally so busy, I haven't, run the prices up over at all patriots .gumroad.com or over at Jennifer's site, but I'm going to have to call her here shortly and tell her to up those prices. So if you get there first, you'll be a sneaky person, but because she's got a package over there on 3-coin thing that she asked me to let her do the other day. So, but we're going to have to up those prices. I'll probably do it probably overnight or in the morning. So anyway, that being said, but that's what you got to understand. This is going to take on a life of its own, and already actually technically has. You're waiting for the sound from a foot that's already fallen. The things that happened with the generals, a lot of that already happened when they had to leave their command posts and head back, and things are already in play. Even having Netanyahu here in America on U.S. soil under our thumb, while other stuff is happening in the Mideast, he's not in his location to pull all the strings. He's in our location, and we can kind of look over his shoulder at things that he may or may not get to do. Same thing with, we just went over to England, and look at where the king was. He's like a different zip code behind Trump. Who was actually reviewing the troops? Charles or DJT? Okay. We're in a weird spot. Even in the order to the generals to get your ass over to Virginia, it talks about having them essentially shut down anything associated with the Brits, any base that started with them, or there may be some confusion over command hierarchies. Look at the fourth paragraph in the order for all the troops to the general staff and flag officers to show up in Virginia. It's pretty epic. So we're in this week. We get through tomorrow, and every day of October is one more drama and excitement after another. And
I'm excited.
Well, again, it's not the worst thing in the world. I think the fact that Biden spoke publicly, and he's a friend of the president's, and I know that behind the scenes, a number of folks have all been very concerned about this. But again, like I said, I didn't feel that I had license to jump out ahead. There was negotiations, inner workings, etc. I was aware of it, but now that the TikTok said something, I have the license to have a broader discussion. And even after you pull the turd out of the punch bowl, we're going to have to throw the whole punch out and start over, okay? I'm not even going to use the same punch bowl. So there's a problem. I think the president's probably going to have to clear things out a bit over at Justice, and then, who are his real friends, demonstrated friends of this administration and the American people by their actions, not just words. And get those people in there and do it now. There's no time to waste. No time to waste. We got some great people over there. I'll wait to see who the president decides. But I think he has some great options available to him in Justice to do something right now. So we'll see.
You got it, Juanito. Let me get this up. All right, folks. Please,
super. Love you, bro.
Please share this. Stay with me.
Yeah, and by the way, Nino, let me ask you one thing too for the listeners. Let me say a quick prayer. Father God, you allow people to be in governance in our nation and you tell us to pray for those who are in governmental positions that have authorities over our lives and our well-being. We pray for all those involved here, the people over at the Justice Department, the president and his family, the congressional members that are working hard to do the right thing for America and for the world. We pray for protection from those who would do harm, even on the inside of things, and assistance for those trying to do good. And there's image issues, even Sixers who have been treated so poorly, and where things were put in place to help compensate them for the expenses and losses that they've suffered because of this evil that was done to them for political gain, and to the whole country, with everything revolving around the truth that we now know that in fact the election was the questions that were there. And so we ask you for assistance on this from a divine perspective, protection